if I saw another day, only to scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, taking off without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Red Devil Studio. It's me today, Maisie, just to give you a quick preview for Manchester United versus Leeds. The game is going to be at Ellen Road. Going to be a difficult game, a lot narrower than what people will think. There's already someone in the chat here. Hello there to Noah, thank you for tuning in. So yeah, Manchester United away at Ellen Road. Ellen Road was the last game we didn't score away in top flight football. So it's going to be such an interesting game. We know how Leeds are away at their home ground. They're, especially against the big teams, they definitely do put the tempo. But before I do my predicted lineup, I am going to say the team news for both Manchester United versus Leeds. Ralph Rangnick has done his press conference for today. Rafael Varane on Wednesday, he was out due to an illness and what happened during the warm-up on Wednesday night. So that meant Lindelof was put there in place of Rafael Varane. He is expected back now, Varane. Nemanja Matic is set to return back to the Manchester United squad. Not been confirmed if he will be in the starting 11 or if he will be a bench player. So that will be something what would be very, very interesting. The only players who are currently out, it is Edinson Cavani and Tom Heaton. Could be a bit of a blow not having Edinson Cavani. So we're playing Ronaldo, looks like 3 games of the bounce. We played him last game against Brighton. Playing him on Sunday just because Edinson Cavani is out. And I think Ralph Rangnick will want to play Cristiano Ronaldo, knowing that he has scored every single game in the Champions League. Plus, his record against Atletico Madrid is actually amazing. So I think he will want to use Cristiano Ronaldo because, after all, he is Mr. Champions League. In terms of Bielsa, both Liam Cooper Jr., Calvin Phillips, Bamford did miss the last game against Everton because they're currently out due to injuries. Liam Cooper is expected to be back in the side. However, Calvin Phillips, Patrick Bamford will not be back in the Leeds team. People may say that is an advantage for Manchester United, knowing how well Bamford played last season. Calvin Phillips is such a deadly CDM, and we all know that he can break down play when needed. It is rumoured that Daniel James, he will be playing against his former club, so he could be one of the players to go down in history to score as a Leeds player and for a Manchester United player, because he has scored against Leeds before, and he could score against Manchester United on Sunday. At the moment, Leeds are currently in 15th place. They're 6 points clear from safety, and they do also have a game in hand on 18th place Watford, who hasn't really been in good form so far. They've only won 4 of their opening 19 matches, whereas At this moment in time, Leeds are in pretty good form. They've only lost 1 out of their 5 outings in the competition. So that would be extremely interesting. The last game, it was obviously against Everton. They lost 3-0. But Manchester United has only had 1 league defeat in the calendar year so far, and that was against Wolves. And at this moment in time, we're on the league. We're in a run of 6 games without a loss. We're back in 4th place at the moment after that win against Brighton. But we have had many draws against Burnley, against Southampton, and of course against Middlesbrough, which was in the FA Cup. So that will be extremely interesting. The last game we did play, Bruno Fernandez got a hat-trick. Paul Pogba came down in history to get 4 assists. So that will be interesting to see on how both the players will work when it does come into the game in itself. So what I'm going to do now, I will be giving my starting 11 lineup. But before that, I'll get back to Noah. The next 7 games for us, it is going to be extremely tricky, I must be honest. So I'll tell you what our next 7 fixtures are for Manchester United. That is Leeds, Atletico Madrid. Then we have Watford, Manchester City, Tottenham, Atletico Madrid again, Liverpool. And that is going to be such a tough month. And looking at that month in terms of Manchester United for March, this is why Manchester United should have took the advantage and got these 3 points against the Burnleys, against the Everton at the start of the season, both times against Aston Villa and Wolves, because we can't guarantee all these points now when it comes to Manchester City and Liverpool. We haven't won against Liverpool since even before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the league. So it's just going to be such a tough game and such a tough month in terms of March. Atletico Madrid are such a good team as well. We all know if they do score, they're going to be so well defensively structured. But we'll have to see on how it goes. I do also think that Manchester United, especially when we do play against big teams, we can sometimes turn up. We have seen it against Manchester City before, so we've just got to hope. But with this squad depth right now, we've only got 4 midfielders who can play in a pivot, unless, of course, we risk putting Fernandez as an 8 and put Hannibal as a 10. I just don't think Ralph will do that, especially when it does come to March. Hello there to FIFA Derbies. Thank you for tuning in. The thoughts on Maguire's captaincy. Yeah, there has been a lot of rumours that has gone out in terms of Maguire's captaincy role. People are saying, reporters are suggesting that him and Ronaldo are having a bit of a drift, and there has been discussions about Maguire's captaincy being dropped. Ralph has come out in an interview to say it's a load of rubbish. He's staying the captain basically for the foreseeable. He's not spoke to any players about dropping the captaincy off Maguire, and as well, he has said that he is happy with Maguire as the captain. Maguire has said on social media that what is coming out in terms of reports is a load of rubbish as well. But for me, personally, there is some captains I would rather have there at Manchester United. My personal option would be Bruno Fernandez. And the reason for Bruno Fernandez is people do shout David De Gea as a captain. But for me, I feel like when you have a captain, they need to have an influence on the whole pitch. So if you look at a fullback, a centre-back, a midfielder, they're more all over the pitch compared to a striker, compared to a goalkeeper who's basically one side of the pitch. And De Gea, for me, isn't too very vocal. Some people are shouting Varane. Varane is a good shout for me as well, but he is quite new at Manchester United. I think he's a more future captain, maybe in the next couple of years or so. people have said Ronaldo, but we're not too sure on the future of Cristiano Ronaldo. He could be gone by the summer, and we just don't want to give the captaincy for someone for 6 months, especially knowing that in the whole of Ronaldo's career, he's only been the captain a couple of times. That was twice for Manchester United, and he was a captain for Real Madrid. So he hasn't really had too much experience in that captain's armband, and you would like to have your captain to have experience in the leadership department. Bruno Fernandez has been a captain at his previous club, Sporting, so we know that he is capable of being a captain when he's been a captain at a different club. And I'm sure Varane has been captaincy before as well at Real Madrid a few times, so I would definitely look at putting any of them as the captain, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. He definitely should be dropped. I do prefer Lindelof, but I think especially with this conference what has come out about Harry Maguire, I do reckon that he probably will be starting in this lineup, and especially if this interview has already come out and then he does get dropped, it raises more alarm bells. There'll be probably a lot more discussions and social media saying Maguire is dropped due to this, Maguire is dropped due to that. And I think probably Ralph is probably wanting to avoid that more than anything. And just as FIFA's Davis just said, hit that like button. And if you're new, hit the subscribe button. Hello there to Edit. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I'm always about. You enjoy the rest of your night too. Take care. Big up to you two, FIFA Derbies. Yeah, he was new. And when you do look at Manchester United, when he actually did come, I just don't think there was that many leaders to take that captain's armband, and that was probably why he got given it. De Gea has been the captain before for a couple of games, but he ended up not taking it properly. People said Paul Pogba should be captain, but he doesn't really play many games due to injuries. And probably what was Ollie's thinking was probably maybe putting a player as a captain who plays consistently in games or plays quite a lot of games, because Harry Maguire, he's been at the club 2 years after Eric Bailly, and he's made a lot more appearances than Eric Bailly. So that does also raise alarm bells. But now there is a lot more captains, there's a lot more leaders at the club, so we should be really considering somebody else, in my opinion. Hello to Luca, thank you for tuning in. I'm very well, thank you, and I hope you're well too. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do my starting 11 lineup for Manchester United versus Leeds. For the goalkeeper, I think that is going to remain at David De Gea. There's been no reason for De Gea to be dropped this season. His work rate, his dedication for the club has been absolutely brilliant. He's been our most on-form player this season, our most consistent player this season. Last game against Brighton, he made 2 amazing saves, one in the first half, one in the second half, which kept us in the game. I can't see Dean Henderson coming into the squad anytime soon, especially with how David De Gea is playing. He's such an amazing quality goalkeeper to have. But if we are remaining to keep De Gea on full time, we need to look at the future of Dean Henderson. With both goalkeepers together, they're on 500k a week, and 500k a week on just 2 players is a lot of money. So Manchester United really do need to think about both the goalkeepers' future, because if they do decide, let's get rid of Dean Henderson, Tom Heaton, I'm sure, is more than capable of being our second choice goalkeeper. He did play well in the pre-season, in my opinion. For the right back, I think it's going to stay with Dalot. Dalot, since the Brentford game, I really, truly can't knock him very much. I think he's been very good in that right back. I think he has improved defensively. And as well as that, he's going forward is miles better than Wan-Bissaka. I think in the Premier League now, you need to look at fullbacks who can do both. Not all fullbacks can do both. Not everyone is like Cancelo. Not everyone is like Reece James. But Dalot is probably the best option what we do have, in my personal opinion. And Dalot is still only very young too, so hopefully he does improve in terms of defensively. And I love how Ralph has given Dalot the chance to play these games, because him playing these games, it's showing us what Dalot is truly doing at the club, and he has shown that he is a starting 11 player at this moment in time for Manchester United. FIFA Derby thinks that Tellez should be dropped, which is quite interesting. Good evening to John. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, with yourself being Tellez dropped, I actually think that Tellez does need a little bit more game time. I do quite like Tellez, in my opinion. I think he's good with his free kicks. I think he's good with his corners, his set pieces. I'd probably say he's the best for that. Luke Shaw hasn't really been too impressive this season. He's not really been in form. We do need to look at need to look at both the players to see why they're both not in form. Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Rashford. We do need to look at why these players are not in form. And right now, Tellez for me is the best option. He has actually improved in terms of his tackles defensively. In terms of when you look at Tellez in games, he does have the most tackles in the game for Manchester United. So I do believe Tellez should be in the starting 11 lineup, and I think with Luke Shaw, he hasn't truly played that well for me in the past couple of games to justify should Manchester United keep Luke Shaw in the starting lineup. Yes, he did get an assist a couple of games ago, but the second half read more than that assist. If he worked well in terms of playing well in the both halves, I'd understand, but his fitness levels aren't there for me. Exactly. I agree with John's comment here. Tellez looks like a type of player who has something to prove, and he really does, because especially knowing that he wasn't getting many game time last season, he was getting used as a substitute for in the Europa League with Brandon Williams. I think, and he was a new signing too, and he didn't get used. A lot of people just thought Tellez wasn't good enough. We've seen what he was like in Porto. And I think the more game time he gets at Manchester United, I do believe that he will become a much better player. Yeah, fair enough that you meant Shaw. I do agree with your comment there, FIFA Derby. So the centre-back, as much as I really disagree with this is what I think Ralph is going to go with. I think he's going to go with Varane, which I'm extremely happy with, but I do think he actually is going to go with Maguire for the other centre-back position. I do think Lindelof does deserve to keep his starting 11 place, but I think based off everything what has gone on as well, that he will want to keep Maguire in their starting 11 team, knowing he's the captain as well. He isn't wanting to take him off the captaincy also. I think he will keep him there into that starting 11 lineup. Smash that button, guys. Thank you very much for that. John says, Shaw is lazy at his defence and offensive duties. I completely agree. He is extremely lazy, to be honest. I do disagree with this comment, Luca. I don't think Dalot is crap. He is definitely better than Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka is good at defence. If you look at in terms of defending, his one-on-ones, his tackles, Wan-Bissaka is the best right back to do that, but we can't. But if we have a team who is slow-paced and we need to attack, he wouldn't be the right player for that, and this is why we need Dalot in the team. Play Fred and Pogba in midfield. I'd personally play Fred and Pogba in the midfield as well, to be honest. However, I do think Pogba will start, especially knowing that he got 4 assists in the last game against Leeds. I think he will 100% start, to be honest. You think to drop McTominay? McTominay, he was very, very clumsy in against Brighton. But for a start, McTominay has had the most games under Ralph as an outfield player. So it just shows that he does have some kind of trust there with Scott McTominay. Emmanuel Matic is back, what would be quite interesting, but I think with the pace of Leeds, Emmanuel Matic wouldn't be a good choice. And I do think he will keep Scott McTominay just because of that level of trust. I think Fred, though, he would be such a good choice. He's first for tackling, second for interceptions. I think he's second for his duels as well. So Fred is absolutely brilliant. And I think when Lindelof is at the back and he's alongside Scott, he's able to be a lot more free on the ball. He's able to go forward. We've seen that Fred has done well with his goals and assists this season, what we've never really seen of Fred before. The stats are the last 6 games that Fred has played, we've all won them. And without Fred, we've only won 1 game. We've only got a 25% win rate without Fred. And that is actually unbelievable to really hear when you hear a lot of criticism about Fred. But I think Fred most likely, he may come on as a substitute, and I think it will be McTominay who will be making his appearance for Manchester United, because I think he, in terms of defending, out of the ones we've got, I will probably say that Scott after Matic will probably be the best in terms of playing as a CDM. John said, I can't believe Maguire looks so poor playing beside Varane, who is who's also perfect in everything. I agree 100%. Varane, I think, is so much better in terms of defending. And I think Lindelof will be the best person to go with alongside Varane. A lot of people want to see a Varane and Bailly partnership. Bailly's back in training, so hopefully we might be able to see that by the end of the season too. Pogba and Bruno always have a shoe in disappointment that Donny isn't still here. Yeah, I completely agree with that comment. I do really like Pogba and Bruno both together. They work so well together. And maybe as well what could be interesting in terms of Pogba, he actually played on the left wing for the first Leeds game of the season here. So if he got played up there instead, perhaps maybe he could actually work in that left-hand side all over again. And then maybe he might be getting more assists. So if that was the case, it would be McFred at the back. It would be a Scott McTominay and a Fred at the back, and then it could be Paul Pogba on the left. That could be an option which Manchester United could take as well, knowing how well it worked in the last game. But I think 100% Paul Pogba will start, and I think most likely it will be in his position, which will be the central midfielder. In the attacking midfield, I've got to go with Bruno Fernandez. Bruno Fernandez has, last game against Leeds, he got a hat-trick. He got an assist as well. So we all know Bruno loves to score against Leeds, so I think that will stay he'll stay in the starting 11 lineup. I think though there isn't no one there to how can I say, there's no one there who can really compete with Bruno Fernandez in his starting 11 lineup. So he's going to be 100% playing. He's never hardly been injured though. He's only ever played 10 games, injured 10 games, and he's been out with the flu in his whole career. And apart from that, he's been absolutely brilliant. No injuries whatsoever, and that kind of play you need at Manchester United. It's Fred energy. We need him to press. Exactly. The only bad thing is, though, if there's only one player who presses in the whole pitch for the Manchester United, and then the other 10 players don't press, the press crumbles, they're bound to make mistakes, and then that person will be like, why have you done this? Why have you done this? That's the only problem, and if Fred presses, the team needs to press for the press to actually work. Matic is definitely better as a number 6. He's our only number 6 that we do have. However, Fred is more of a box-to-box midfielder. We've seen that in Brazil, that he is a box-to-box midfielder. He works when he's got Fabinho and Casemiro behind him. And I think if we had a proper CDM, Fred will do great. He'll play in his more natural position. Pogba will do great if Pogba decides to stay as well. So, in terms of that, yes, Pogba, Matic is better than Fred in that number 6 because it is his natural position. But I just think with this game, it's not full and suited for Matic. I would rather play him against a low block team right now. Yeah, Pogba left, Ronaldo middle, then Sancho. That could be a good shout, and I think if that is the case, it may potentially work. Pogba playing on the left here, but we'll treat it like he's playing as a CDM for now, in this central midfielder role for now. I think Sancho will play on the left though, because we have seen a lot of Sancho on the left recently, and he has been doing well on the left. When Shaw was playing, he did good link-up play with Shaw too. And Sancho, it just doesn't seem that the Manchester United top is as heavy on him anymore, and he's doing extremely well. He's managing to take on the defenders, but the difference is between Rashford and Sancho is that Sancho manages to do his skills and go round them, rather when Rashford he collides into a player, he gives the ball away quite cheaply. So he is a definitely good shout, but I would rather play Sancho on the right as well, because that is the reason why we have bought Sancho, to play him on the right. He is a winger that can play in both sides, both the left and the right. I personally think Sancho was a better goal scorer on the left, and on the right, he's more creative. And especially with Ronaldo up front, perhaps maybe it is a better idea for him to play on the right to provide a lot more service there for Cristiano Ronaldo too. But I think if he does play there, I think Alanga will play on the right. Alanga did actually play on the right for Brighton, and he played very well. He managed to help us in the game. So what Ralph Ragnick said was, our wingers, they press onto Brighton's fullbacks. Our fullbacks press onto their wingers, their fullbacks, and it worked. And doing that, Alanga was able to get Lewis Dunk sent off, win us many free kicks. He was actually our most fouled player. Brighton seeing him as such a dangerous player. And yes, he is young. Yes, Alanga needs a lot more game time, but for what he is doing at the moment, he is definitely one of our better wingers at Manchester United, and I think he is better in that starting 11 role. We need a player with a better passing accuracy who has that more shots on goal, that more opportunity, more clear opportunities right now, because we need to try and finish the game a lot quicker than what we are doing at the moment. In the striker role, it is definitely going to be Cristiano Ronaldo for me. The reason is Edinson Cavani is out, and that is due to injuries. So Ronaldo, he did play against Brighton. He started against Brighton, played a full 90, so we should be playing a full 90 again against Leeds, depending on what goes on. And then I think he'll probably start against Atletico Madrid, knowing that that stats he has against Atletico Madrid. But yeah, that's what I do think the starting 11 lineup is going to be for Manchester United. Of course, there can be a few changes. As I've mentioned, Paul Pogba there on the left. Scott McTominay could be dropped for Fred. Maguire could be dropped there for either Lindelof and Jones. Telles could be even dropped for Shaw. And Alanga or Sancho could be dropped for Marcus Rashford. And Lingard could even potentially make his start. So that is my starting 11 lineup. In terms of the scores, I am going to go for a 2-1 for Manchester United. I think it is going to be a much narrower game than people do expect, because I think people are expecting quite a big goal fest at the moment. The reason why I don't expect a goal fest is because Leeds are actually better defensively structured at their home games than they are doing away at the moment, and they're much better against the larger teams in the Premier League at home than they are away. So I think they will put on a fight, especially knowing that fans are going to be watching Manchester United at Ellen Road for the first time in so many years. I think he'll do that. I think that will be what will happen. They'll put on a good performance. I know there are many injuries. Of course, they've had to play their under 23s, they've had to play their under 18s, but it's still a big game, and we can't expect the same old Leeds, especially knowing it's at their ground, knowing it's at home. We can't expect it to be on the back foot. And here's a good question here from FIFA Derbies. If we get as many points as we can, what we need to do, we need to look at aiming for all the 3 points against teams that are below us. We need to look at all the teams that are below us and say, right, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. Of course, the ones in front of us, like the Liverpool, the Cities, and even the Chelseas, we can't always guarantee them 3 points. But when you look at teams below us, like you look at Wolves, what we should get 3 points, Aston Villa, what we should get 3 points, we need to look at getting them 3 points. And if we're dropping silly amount of points against teams, what we shouldn't do, then that is going to cost us top 4. It doesn't matter how we get the 3 points. It doesn't matter if it's a scrappy win or a good win. The 3 points is the 3 points what does secure us top 4. So at the moment, I am fairly confident, because we already are in 4th spot, that we will get the 4th spot. But if we don't get the 4th spot, it will be a failure for Manchester United, because we're near enough out of every single cup competition. We've only got the Champions League left, and we need to try and get as high as we can in the league. I'm not saying that we're going to get into first, second, or third, but I've always said we need to be title contenders. We blew that after the Watford game, so now we need to get as far up the table as we can. I don't like being that kind of person to say aim for top 4, because it's unambitious, and with the club that we are, we need to be title contenders. But as it stands, I'm fairly confident, but we just have to see on how everything goes on. So that is my quick preview, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for FIFA Derbies. Thank you for John. Thank you for Luca there as well, and Noah, for all the comments in the chat. Everyone who's watching, smash that like button, and if you're new, smash that subscribe button. If you're watching back on this show as well, type in the comments what your score prediction is going to be for the game, because it is going to be a very, very important game for both teams. One for who's in relegation fight near enough, and one who's fighting for Champions League football. Thank you very much for FIFA Derbies. And hello to Christian. This might be an ugly game. Hope Man U scores to show to the fans for the spirit. I agree. We do need to score. I think we will, but I think we'll also concede as well, just knowing that Leeds, even though they're losing big players, they still do know how to score against teams as well, regardless of who's missing. They still got threats of Rafinha. They still got threats of Jack Harrison, and they still got Daniel James, and Daniel James knows a lot of these Manchester United players. Most likely still knows how they all play as well, so he could be a possible threat there as well for Manchester United. You're very welcome. Thank you as well for watching. No chance Wan-Bissaka is better. My lineup: De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, Telles, Pogba, Fred, Fernandez, Sancho. I think, to be honest, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is good at defending. He isn't brilliant at going forward. Dallo at the moment, he is the better right back than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's been clear, especially since the Brentford game. And it was clear against Arsenal, if you remember too, Luca. But I'm going to end it here. Thank you everyone for watching, and it's a goodbye for now.